This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
The Labour Party appears to have cracked at the national level after its 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi and the party's National Chairman Julius Abure called for two separate National Executive Council meetings. The call by Peter Obi was issued in a joint statement with the party's only serving governor in this republic, Governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, and that meeting is scheduled to hold in Abuja on Wednesday, the 9th of April. The Julius Abure faction, meanwhile, announced yesterday that the National Executive Council meeting was in progress at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. Our guest on this conversation is Bolanle Olugbani, a legal practitioner and political affairs analyst. Mr. Olugbani, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you.
So, to start with, there's actually a Supreme Court ruling that has essentially says that the leadership of the party can only be determined by the party itself and not the courts. And there were a series of statements from the Labour Party's publicity secretary, including his statement that Julius Abure remains the chairman of the Labour Party. I wonder if we can start from here to sort of understand what's going on, at least from a legal perspective, as far as the Labour Party is concerned, before we discuss the political.
Well, first of all, the Supreme Court, as most courts of record, higher courts of record in Nigeria want to do, decline jurisdiction to intervene into strictly party, political, constitutional issues. Courts in Nigeria generally do not intervene except when there is a flagrant violation of the constitution of the parties, or when due process, such as fair hearing, in taking decisions, were not followed. So the Supreme Court, in this decision, declined jurisdiction to pronounce on who the party chairman is. Effectively, what that implies is that whoever the party chairman is at this point in time, at a validly conducted Congress, remains the chairman. If there was an arrangement before where the Abia State governor was allowed to head or appoint a caretaker committee for the purpose of the Congress, if that Congress has been held and a chairman, national chairman, produced, it means that the function of that ad hoc committee, has since lapsed. And so it can be implied that the national chairman at this point in time is Abure, because also the Supreme Court has not said anything to the contrary. So internal democracy, can only be practiced and decided and determined by the party. That burden should not be shifted to the court. If not, the courts themselves will be involved in politics, and the courts themselves will be involved in, supplanting the will and the wishes of the party members. So the Supreme Court declined to do that.
So let's talk about the politics, right? With two NEC meetings happening simultaneously, if you like. On the one hand, Mr. Julius Abure, and then on the other hand, you've got the presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, as well as a sitting governor, right? Governor Alex Otti. It begs the question of how much influence Mr. Julius Abure and his faction can really wield if even sitting governor and then the linchpin or rallying point, if you like, for the Labour Party are standing against them. How do you see this playing out for the party as we head towards the next set of major elections?
Well, it doesn't augur well for the party, because the party divided against itself cannot stand. If people divided against themselves will never, make progress. The idea that the poster boy for the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is siding with the person who, chose or headed the caretaker committee, and then the Abure group are also making the alternate argument that they are the real founders and members of the Labour Party, and that those who joined from the PDP and the APC, howsoever, and became, party flag bearer or governor, are not the original members of the party and they are just beneficiaries of the party. That's their own argument. And that the fact that they now hold executive positions or positions of popularity using the platform of the Labour Party does not give them the sole discretion to determine the future of the party. So that sets the ground for a major political conflict within the Labour Party. And in doing so, the two sides are just angling for control towards the next major elections. They want to be the ones who actually effectively control the party organs, the primaries, the congresses, and determine, ultimately the candidates from councillor to House of Assembly to, state chairman to, national chairman, national executive, and, who becomes the presidential, gubernatorial, and, chairmanship candidate at whatever level all over the country from the party. It's about control. It's about control. It's about control.
Right. And I guess finally here, 2 days ago now, or just a day ago, we had the former presidential candidate of the SDP, Prince Adewale. He came out and said that they're expecting Mr. Peter Obi to defect to the SDP sooner rather than later. He mentioned some other people as well. With this court case ending the way it ended and the continued rift, how likely do you see that? How likely is it?
All politicians generally, I personally consider them to be birds of opportunity. A politician will fight for his self-interest, his ambition, and his desire to attain high political office, and the platform upon which he does that is within his legitimate right under the Constitution, to do so. So that if Labour Party today becomes unattractive for securing a gubernatorial, presidential, House of Assembly, senatorial, or House of Representative ambition, or even councillorship ambition, chairmanship of the local government ambition, a politician will move to where his bread is likely to be buttered. So it's not new. And on the other hand, crisis somewhere on one platform is to the advantage of another platform. So if you see a principal member of another party saying he's expecting people, to move over to his party, it means that he's already drooling and imagining that he'll be the beneficiary of the internal crisis of the Labour Party.
Mr. Olugbani, thank you very much for your time and legal expertise on this conversation. Bolanle Olugbani is a legal practitioner and public affairs analyst who joined us this morning to speak on the Labour Party's key officials, from its national chairman to its sitting governor and the presidential candidates in the 2023 elections, calling for separate conventions. You're still listening to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. We urge you to stay tuned. In a few short moments, our conversation continues.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.